What's going on, everyone? Coming at you today with their top 3 reasons, why you just can't lose weight, why you don't have energy. And I'll go over those really quick and then kind of, okay, here we go. All right, now it's working. So it's the exact opposite of what you hear. Instead of eating less, restricting your calories, etc. So the top 3 reasons are: number 1, you don't eat enough, right? You're not eating enough calories. I'll cover this in detail. Number 2, you're eating low carb and low fat. That's why you don't have energy, and that's why you're also not burning fat. I'll go over that in detail too. And number 3, you're doing way too much like cardio type base versus any sort of resistance training. So you're sending the wrong signals to your body. So let's go over number 1, right? So you don't eat enough. So a lot of you probably sitting there saying this is BS. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. There's, all these, just restrict your calories. And yes, there is some credence to that. However, 9 out of 10 people I talk to have tried to lose weight. So if you're listening and you've tried to lose weight for more than 6 to 12 weeks straight, then you're in this category. This addresses you, because everyone I talk to has tried for years. I asked them this question when we talked the first time. They're like, "Oh, I've been trying to lose weight for 2 or 3 years, or 20 to 30 years, or I've been heavy all my life." So we've been constantly dieting and restricting our calories, and we've never done the opposite, where we bring our phase into what I call like a regrowth phase or a maintenance phase, where our body needs to be in a majority of the times. We should only be trying to lose weight, 2 to 3 times a year max. That's it. That's max. So the rest, we should be in a regrowth phase or we should be in a maintenance phase. So if you're not going out of these phases, you're ultimately going to get stuck, or you're going to hit a plateau. That's another big one I hear is, I lost 30 pounds, but then I gained it all back. So let's give this exact example. So say you're 200 pounds or 250 pounds, you want to get to 200 pounds. Somebody who's fairly active at 200 pounds should be eating between 2,500 and 3,000 calories to maintain their weight. So if you start like most people do, they start at like a really low calorie number, like 2,000, and then they lose some weight, then they'll have to drop even lower to 1,500 because your body will accommodate. And then they'll have to drop even lower to 1,000 because their body will accommodate. All in all, when you could have started at 3,000, phased out, went back to like 2,750 depending on your weight, phased out, and then went back to like 2,500 and lost the weight. So that's why so many people put it back on, because we think we can't constantly have to cut calories, and as our body gets used to the calories, we have to lower them. So that's why I say 6 to 12 weeks, because after that your metabolism significantly slows down. So if metabolism is slow, then it's only going to require a less number. Or a 200 pounds, so me, for example, I'm 200 pounds, I'm fairly active, I can eat 3,000 and maintain every day. But if I wanted to lose weight, I would have to drop to like 2,700 or 2,500. However, if I kept trying to lose, I would damage my metabolism. So that's the first reason you're not eating enough. You have to phase in and out of things. Number 2 is low carb and low fat. So depending on the client, I've done low carb with people, I've done higher protein with people, but you can't do low carb and low fat. So if you're more like vegan type and you respond better to insulin and you can do good with carbs, that's fine. You can eat a higher carb diet, but you also need proteins and fats. You can't eliminate both. You get your energy from fats and carbs. We want to be using them more from fats than carbs when we're trying to burn fat and lose weight. However, you need one of 2 of those for energy sources. So if you feel really shitty and really lousy and you're lacking energy, it's because that's the second biggest mistake I see is people, when I see their foods, they tell me what to eat. They're like, "Oh, I'm trying to avoid sugar." Okay, that's good. But then they're also avoiding fats. And then all they're eating is like chicken. So when you just have protein sources, you're not going to have energy, and therefore your body's going to go into starvation mode and start storing calories as fat, which you don't want. You're sending the wrong signal. You either need carbs and or fat, or a little bit of both depending on the person. Easy things for that is just add healthy sources of fat: avocados, oils, butters, nuts, seeds, meats, and fish. So it's super simple there. Number 3 is cardio versus resistance training, right? So we think we have to do so much cardio, and then not enough resistance training. And so we think we have to do more instead of just doing some resistance training. So I'll go over what I usually see is they're doing Zumba, they're doing yoga, and they're doing biking, walking, etc. That stuff is phenomenal. Still do it. It's good for the heart. Cardiovascular is awesome. I promote it. A lot of people will say, you just need to lift weights. That's not true. I don't agree with that. However, you're doing too much on that side and not enough on the resistance side. So the resistance side, you need to start doing something. So it could be body weight, it could be bands, that's okay. It could progress into weights if you like weights. But just doing stuff with your body weight and bands would be more than enough. You need some sort of resistance to build muscle. The more lean muscle you have, the better you look, the more calories you burn at rest, therefore the more you can eat, right? Also sends a good signal to our body to hold on to muscle and get rid of fat, right? So that's another good reason to do that. So most people are on the opposite side. So my client Ibrahim, I'll tell you his story, and this is somebody who I just finished working with. He came to me, he had tried everything, just like I mentioned before. So he did intermittent fasting, then he's done vegan, he's done keto. So when I got him, he was intermittent fasting, he was doing keto, he was doing 6 days of cardio, and he was eating like 1,200 calories. Mind you, he was, over 200 pounds. I've talked with him. I've let people know he's okay with me sharing this story. So he couldn't lose weight. He was stuck. And I was like, well, man, you're not eating enough. And he's like, well, I'm just going to gain weight if I eat more. And I'm like, all right, you're not doing resistance training. He's like, well, every time I do that, I get bulky, right? So then his calories, he wasn't eating enough fats to technically be in keto, and his carbs were too low. So he applied to the same. You have to have a certain amount of percentage, like at least 60% coming from those proteins and fats. You can't get all of it from fats and carbs. You can't get it all from lean protein. So what we did was literally, and this is a true story, and you can message him and ask him about it. So we brought his calories over time from 1,200 all the way up to 2,250. So over 1,000 calories in 90 days. And he lost 30, anywhere from like 12 to 15 pounds in that range. And his photos are awesome. So I have to post his photos to update those. So his photos look a lot better. So he gained lean muscle mass. He lost body fat. He lost weight. We raised his calories by 1,000. He started doing less cardio. He still did it 3 times a week, because he enjoys doing it. We added resistance training 3 times, and I added carbohydrates back into his diet. So instead of him just eating healthy fats and lean proteins and never having a potato or oatmeal or anything like that, we added those things back into his diet. So that's where I see a lot of people going, especially with like the fad dieting and the keto and vegan and intermittent fasting, which is all good and fine, but it has to be done properly. So lastly here, I told you if you listen, then I'll kind of tell you about what I'm doing. So basically now, in the past, I wasn't in a place to help everyone. So now I'm in a better place. I've gotten things built out for people, and I could add people quickly onto my app. So what I'm doing now for the holiday special is discounting everything 50%. I'm doing it for all of December. I'll have posts about it for the rest of the week. So if you need help with this and you're listening to me, you're like, okay, that makes sense. That's me. How do I apply this stuff? Or how do I do it just so it's off of your plate? So a lot of people I talk to are educated on it, but they're like, dude, just tell me what to do. Give me the exact process. If you want something personalized and you don't want to have to do any of the thinking or the heavy lifting, that's going to be very discounted, very affordable, then shoot me a message and let me know. If not, if you just have questions, just shoot me a message as well. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your, what is today? Tuesday.